Taylor Bridges. Currently, I'm a senior at the University of Arkansas studying psychology and sustainability. I didn't realize 6 years ago, as I sat in an AP environmental science class, drinking out of a plastic water bottle, eating pretzels from a Ziploc bag, and dipping them in a one-time use cream cheese container, that I'd be standing here before you today as someone who notices and admittedly is sometimes deeply conflicted by every single piece of trash she sees. It is my plan to devote all of my energy educating, aiding, convincing, and inspiring everyone to take better care of this magical place that we call home. I want to make it clear that I'm not saying we're hateful people, deliberately walking around cursing and destroying nature. But passively, that's exactly what we're doing. We're spending our natural capital like it's burning a hole in our pockets. It's expendable. We can't print more when we run out. Nature hasn't been given the time it needs to replenish itself due to our never-ceasing, rapid consumption. The psychology major in me asks why it is that we act so irresponsibly. And through my observations, I've come to 3 major conclusions. The first is that we've been conditioned to consume in such a way that in return, we've been detached from the negative consequences of our actions. The second is that we're busy people. We've got a lot going on, from families to take care of, schoolwork deadlines to meet, bills to pay, meals to cook, and so on. The third is what I personally think is the biggest factor. We think, oh, I'm just 1 in 7 billion people. What difference could I possibly make? Imagine if the whole 7 billion of us reversed this mindset. I'm here to empower you. I'm here on this stage today to tell you that everything you do matters, adds up, and makes a difference. The more people that take on the responsibility of this mindset, the sooner the world can change for the better. Every move we make matters. It's up to you, it's up to me, and it's up to all of us. And we all have the power every day to make a difference. I think it's safe to say, considering the natural disasters occurring all around the world, that Mother Nature is crying out to us in pain. Our planet is undoubtedly warming. A year ago, our carbon dioxide levels reached over 400 parts per billion. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas that traps heat within our atmosphere. Since the Industrial Revolution, CO2 emissions have increased by 1/3. In a 2015 report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, a group comprised of 1,300 independent scientists, claimed that they are fairly certain, that meaning 95% certain, that climatic changes are induced by anthropogenic attributes. Those dang monkeys. Just kidding. That means it's our fault. The warming and degradation of this shared space warrants weather extremes, failing crop yields, ocean acidification, sea level stresses, biodiversity loss, and so on. We are currently experiencing this planet's 6th mass extinction, meaning we are in the midst of losing about 75% of our world's biodiversity. America, in its current consumption patterns, is responsible for an incredible amount of environmental decay. Our current population is 327 million out of 7.5 billion, meaning we make up a small 4% of the entire world's population. Our diminutive percentage consumes an immense amount of world energy resources, 24%. Our consumption of energy entails consumption of goods, and this coincidentally creates waste. If everyone in the world lived like the United States, it would take 5 Earths to sustain our way of life. We have 1. Arkansas itself generated 6,000 tons of waste in 2016, while only recycling about 47% of that. Now let's go back in time for just a second. A Wisconsin senator named Gaylord Nelson initiated the environmental movement after he started the first Earth Day in 1970. The heart of this movement was education. It sparked the phrase reduce, reuse, recycle. The order of these 3R's is extremely crucial, now more than ever. Just because you recycle doesn't mean you create less trash. Honoring the arrangement of these 3R's has the power to salvage our current state of sustainability amongst us in this planet. We wouldn't pile up trash in the houses that we live in, so what makes it okay to bury it within the floor of our home? Landfills affect the delicate balance of our biosphere. The biggest challenge of trash is the time-space separation between our actions and their negative consequences. It may just be a snack, a soda, one to-go meal for lunch, but as innocent as that act may seem, consuming trash and throwing it away contributes to the heating of our atmosphere. So, we must bridge the gap in our minds through educational awareness. In the words of my dear friend, Sherry Withy, there is no way. What a powerful set of words, right? Just because you consume something, throw it in the trash, and someone else drives it out of your sight, doesn't mean it vanished. It's got to go somewhere. And more times than not, that somewhere is a huge, massive land dedicated to that which no longer serves us. These landfills are massive. These are flyover pictures of our Taneytown landfill. It is 60 acres wide and 10 to 12 stories tall, and that's just the closed portion. There are about 3,000 of these dumps scattered all throughout the United States. I strongly agree with the notion that trash is a human design flaw. It's detrimental to the survival of us on this planet. A couple months ago, my boyfriend and I stopped at Schlotzsky's. It was a very rare and unsustainable moment of my life. I asked the cashier not to put our food in a bag because we have hands, and then I asked for no silverware because I had my own in the truck. He proceeded to tell me that that was the most hipster thing that he'd ever heard in his life, and then offered to serve my soup in my hands. This funny story segues into sharing some startling statistics. With the help of some friends, I was able to count the amount of disposable cups, plates, and utensils found on 3 shelves of a major retailer's store. There were 44,000 disposable products on 3 shelves. This is one aisle. There are 6,336 of these stores throughout the whole world. Think multiplication. You can buy 50 plastic disposable cups for under $5 because of our lack of full cost pricing. If the environmental costs were factored into these prices, we wouldn't be able to afford conveniently consuming them. Monetarily, we may be able to. Environmentally, we cannot. Fixing this issue is as simple as having your own cup, plate, and utensils with you in your car, backpack, or purse, ready to go anytime you might need them. According to the FAO, 1.3 billion tons of edible food is wasted every year. This results in 3.3 billion tons of greenhouse gases, and 28% of our agricultural area is used to produce this wasted food. Composting is a very beneficial tool in diverting the greenhouse gases of food landfill. At first, I was intimidated by composting. What are bone and blood meal anyways? This was until my dear friend Maddie Twiggs introduced to me the art of simple composting. All that's required is a spot of earth and a shovel. If you don't have a yard to compost in, you can purchase a porch composter. If you live in an apartment, perhaps you and some neighbors could split the cost of one and compost together. Not only does composting significantly reduce greenhouse gases, it also gives way for nutrient-rich soil that's very beneficial for gardening. It's a win-win situation. If you eat organic, locally grown food, you get extra gold stars on your sustainable chart. Did you know that there's a dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico caused by agricultural runoff of phosphorus and nitrogen that made their way down the Mississippi River from its surrounding farming states? Eating organic food does not entail the use of such fertilizer that contributes to this dead zone. Have you ever considered the footprint of a single 3-course meal? More times than not, that food traveled far and wide just to be distributed to your plate, an average of 1,500 miles. What I personally find the most baffling about commercial food is that someone sitting in an office is getting paid significantly more than the person doing the hard work growing it. If you buy local food, you're able to give your money directly to the hands that grew it. And furthermore, you're significantly reducing your personal footprint because it didn't have to travel far and wide just to reach your plate. According to the Earth Policy Institute, currently 100 billion plastic bags circle through the hands of U.S. consumers every year. Almost 1 bag per person each day. Laid end to end, they could circle our equator 1,330 times. I've personally watched people walk out of store with items placed in a bag that they could have easily carried themselves. We've become so conditioned to be reliant on these disposable bags that we've forgotten that we're able-bodied creatures. Fixing this issue is as easy as keeping your own reusable bags in your car, ready to go anytime you need them to go into a store. How many of you purchased a to-go coffee this past week? Come on, don't be shy, raise your hands. Now, how many of you brought your own reusable cup to this said coffee purchase? See, I set you up. A local coffee shop named Arcega's averaged the total amount of disposable cups its 4 stores used. They found that they averaged 20,000 plastic to-go cups with a plastic lid and 40,000 paper to-go cups with a plastic lid. These numbers only represent 4 coffee shops in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Now multiply that by all the coffee shops in Arkansas. Then multiply it by all the coffee shops in the United States. And then multiply it by all the coffee shops in the world. The plastic from these disposable cups is going to be here about 10 times longer than the average person's lifespan. Man, our coffee consumption is not sustainable, but it easily could be. Imagine the positive impact if we all took our own cups every time we had a purchase. The United States consumed 59.1 billion plastic water bottles in 2015 alone. Can you imagine 59.1 billion of anything? Plastic water bottle sales have been on the rise ever since they emerged in 1993. Simply utilizing your own reusable water bottle can significantly reduce your footprint. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I recycle every plastic bottle I use, so I'm in the clear. I'm just going to come out and say it. You're wrong, and I'll tell you why. Plastic is a huge problem. We rely on plastic today as if it were oxygen. We're currently producing 300 million tons of plastic a year, and half of that is for single use. About 8 million tons of plastic is dumped into our oceans each year. The 3R's Institute found that 5.25 trillion plastic particles are currently at float in the sea. Conditional, convenient consumption that is detrimental to the survival of us on this planet has infiltrated our everyday lives. Plastic is everywhere we look. We use it for one-time purposes and then dispose of it without thinking twice. It takes about 1,000 years to break down and contributes to the heating of our atmosphere as it sits in our landfills. Furthermore, plastic is comprised of crude oil and natural gases, making it an environmental problem before ever even consumed. Now for that recycling plastic problem. Each time plastic is recycled, it is actually downcycled. This means that eventually we're left with a product that can't be made into anything and a substance that's here to stay for far longer than it's welcome. This makes plastic the least sustainable packaging option. Even though we should first reduce and then reuse, recycling is incredibly beneficial because it allows us not to use raw materials when we're making goods. Some statistics from the University of Southern Indiana indicate that each ton of recycled paper saves 17 trees, 380 gallons of oil, 4,000 kilowatts of energy, 7,000 gallons of water, and then 3 cubic yards of landfill space. Those 17 trees saved can pull 250 pounds of carbon dioxide from the air each year. Also, according to the University of Southern Indiana, recycling glass is beneficial because it causes 20% less air pollution and 50% less water pollution. If recycled glass is substituted for half of the raw materials, waste can be cut by about 80%. And there's no limit to the number of times that glass can be recycled. According to the Recycling Coalition of Utah, recycling aluminum takes 95% less energy than creating it from raw materials. Recycling 1 aluminum can save enough energy to power a TV for 3 hours. And aluminum can be recycled indefinitely. Since glass and aluminum can both be recycled indefinitely, purchasing items specifically because they are packaged in these materials can reduce your personal consumption's footprint significantly. I would like to quote my personal hero and woman I must thank for teaching me to talk trash, Louise Mann, a local activist, a woman with a PhD in trash, and the director of wastereductionresources.com, and say, recycling is not the solution. We, the consumers, are. If we can rely heavily on steps 1 and 2, reducing and then reusing, we can make the biggest positive impact. That being said, it's important to note the unquestionable positive impact recycling has in terms of saving raw materials and energy. Once you start to incorporate self-reliant practices, you'll find the switch to serious sustainable living is easier than first imagined. Just start small and work your way up. The positive possibilities are vast. Everything is connected. We are responsible for every move we make. It is our responsibility to seek and share education about this catastrophic unintentional consequence potential. We don't have time or reason to wait on governments and policies to take care of these issues. We must demand more of ourselves, businesses, and regulations by being an educated and involved social democracy. Your every dollar, every move, and every piece of trash is your vote. So what kind of world are you creating? Moreover, the big picture isn't even about reduce, reusing, recycling. It's about taking care of the one thing that provides us life. The environment is our life source, our pranayama. We are and have nothing without it. With all that's at stake, the plethora of positive alternatives, and the power that lies within the people, I leave one question at your feet today. Why waste?
Yeah.